You guys today. The NBA made its triumphant return to NBC this season, and who did Universal bring in to really start it off with a bang? Who did they bring in to engage all audiences? They brought in the GOAT, also known as Michael Jordan. They teased Michael Jordan appearing up and down the bill to get people tuned in, to get people watching.
Michael Jordan launched NBC's NBA Return. The greatest player of all time used to generate maximum hype, maximum eyeballs, maximum buzz. That's how you start something big. You bring in a legend. But here's what's fascinating. When NBC needed to launch Basketball Night in America on February 1st, Jordan had already fulfilled his contract. He was done. So who did they call? Who did Universal executives decide was the next best thing to Michael Jordan himself?
Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark will join NBC Sports as a special contributor for the newly launched Basketball Night in America on February 1st, preceding the Lakers-Knicks game at Madison Square Garden. It will be CC's first time in an analyst-type role on TV. She will return to the show on March 29th, preceding Knicks Thunder in Oklahoma City.
Caitlin Clark, a player who just finished her rookie season. Think about that for a second. NBC could have called any retired NBA legend, any Hall of Famer, any established analyst looking for more airtime. Instead, they went with a WNBA rookie to launch their marquee NBA studio show. She'll join the Basketball Night in America pregame team on February 1st, before the Lakers-Knicks game at Madison Square Garden. Not a random Tuesday night game, not a secondary broadcast. The debut, the launch, the moment they're selling to advertisers and promoting across every platform.
Let's take a look at the article, shall we? Caitlin Clark joined Sunday Night Basketball for 2 NBA games. Caitlin Clark is headed to the NBA, at least for a couple of nights. NBC announced Tuesday that Clark, the Indiana Fever star with an enormous following within the game, is joining the network's pregame coverage for its debut of Sunday Night Basketball this weekend when the Los Angeles Lakers play the New York Knicks at Madison Square Garden.
Sam Flood, NBC Sports executive producer, didn't hold back. Quote, "There's no more iconic figure in basketball in the women's game right now, or the game in general." Read that again, or the game in general. Not just women's basketball. Basketball, period. That's an NBC executive saying Caitlin Clark is the most iconic figure in all of basketball right now. More iconic than LeBron James. More iconic than Stephen Curry. More iconic than any active NBA player they're about to broadcast.
Peacock, NBC Universal, they love themselves for some Caitlin Clark. You remember Caitlin Clark's senior year? I forget which scoring record it was. Maybe somebody in the comments can correct me. As she's chasing down a particular scoring record, could be the three-point record, I believe. What did Peacock do? At least twice, I believe. Oh, if you want to watch her break this record, you got to download Peacock. This is a Peacock exclusive game right here. They saw the dollar signs that was Caitlin Clark.
And NBC Universal knows exactly what they have. This isn't their first time capitalizing on Caitlin Clark. Remember her senior year at Iowa? She's chasing the Division I all-time scoring record, and suddenly Peacock, NBC's streaming service, starts putting her games behind a paywall. Not once, twice, maybe more. They saw the dollar signs before ESPN did. Before the WNBA fully understood what they had. Peacock said, "We're going to make people download our app and subscribe if they want to watch her break this record." And it worked. They drove new subscriptions off her name alone.
Clark, who plans to return to NBC in another pregame role on March 29th when the Knicks visit the Oklahoma City Thunder. So far, 2 games. If there's a lockout, I would expect some more dates. If there's a lockout, I would expect a couple playoff games. If there's a lockout, finals occasionally. Quote, "There's no more iconic figure in basketball in the women's game right now, or the game in general," Sam Flood, executive producer for NBC Sports, told the Associated Press. So we said, let's have a bigger conversation. It's a logical fit. NBC Universal is a...
Now she's joining a studio team that includes Maria Taylor as host. and 3 NBA Hall of Famers, Carmelo Anthony, Vince Carter, and Tracy McGrady. That's the company NBC is putting her in. Not as a novelty, not as a diversity hire, as a special contributor who can hold her own, analyzing NBA basketball alongside legends. And here's what makes this move even smarter. Clark already has television experience. She went viral doing impromptu play-by-play of a Philadelphia Phillies game while her teammate Lexi Hull secretly recorded her. The Phillies loved it so much, they invited her to try it for real. Then she actually did go into the booth for a Yankees game after her rookie season. Met Aaron Judge, talked with Aaron Boone, got the full treatment. She's comfortable on camera, she's thoughtful in interviews. She's been dealing with media pressure since her junior year at Iowa. NBC knows she can handle this.
To be part of the Basketball Night in America crew this season, Clark said it in a statement released by NBC. Carmelo, Vince, and Tracy are legends of the game, and Maria is a true professional. It will be really fun to join them a few times this season. I'm just going to state the obvious here. You know she's going to be picking Carmelo's brains. You know she's going to be picking Vince's brain, picking Tracy's brain. Hey, show me a couple moves that you got off the triple threat. Show me a little footwork real quick. A little jab step, one dribble, step back, pull, something like that. Let me see what you got. A little post game, T-Mac. Show me something like that.
But let's talk about what this really represents. Clark's resume is absurd. 2-time WNBA All-Star. All WNBA first team in her rookie season, Rookie of the Year. Led the Fever to the playoffs for the first time in years. At Iowa, she became the all-time leading scorer in NCAA Division I history with 3,951 points. 2-time AP College Player of the Year. AP Female Athlete of the Year in 2024. Those aren't just participation trophies. That's a body of work that says this person understands basketball at an elite level. She's not just talented, she's a student of the game, and that's what you need to be an effective analyst. Sam Flood addressed this directly. Quote, "She's had cameras pointed at her for years, and she's certainly always put on a show with a basketball in her hand. And after a game ends, she's always a great interview. She's always so thoughtful in everything she says."
At Iowa, Clark became the all-time leading scorer in NCAA Division I history with 3,951 points and was the AP's College Player of the Year twice, as well as the AP's Female Athlete of the Year in 2024. Flood said he's convinced Clark can handle this new role. Quote, "She's had cameras pointed at her for years, and she's certainly always put on a show with a basketball in her hand. And after a game ends, she's always a great interview," Flood said. "She's always so thoughtful in everything she says, and to have the ability to do that on this platform with this team, it's going to be a lot of fun to listen to. That's the beauty."
Here's what I find most interesting about this arrangement. Clark is going to be picking the brains of 3 offensive legends. Carmelo Anthony's post-game, Vince Carter's athleticism and basketball IQ. Tracy McGrady's scoring versatility. You know she's going to be asking questions. Show me this move. Explain that footwork. How did you read that defense? She's not just there to provide a WNBA perspective. She's there to learn from Hall of Famers while the cameras are rolling. And NBC is betting that viewers will find that dynamic compelling. A young star learning from legends in real time, while also providing her own elite-level insights.
But in the booth for a Yankees game, her rookie season, after her rookie season. She was in the booth doing a Yankees game. She went to the locker room, pictures with Aaron Judge, the whole nine, Aaron Boone, the Yankees, America's team. The Phillies gave Clark rave reviews and even invited her to come try it for real, and now NBC is giving her that opportunity as well. She's going to be in a basketball arena, like she always is, and in her comfort zone, which is on the court talking about the sport she loves and the sport that she shines in. Of course, they're going to be breaking down what they expect these teams to do. Lakers Knicks, I believe, is the first game. It would be nice if they kind of do like the little roles that they do on the court. Okay, I'll play LeBron James, you play Austin Reeves, you play Luka, you play Rui, and we're going to break down how the Lakers offense goes about things, right? Caitlin Clark, I'm going to be Luka, and I'm going to show you how JJ Redick, I'm going to show you, Stephanie, how JJ Redick gets Luka open shots. Something like that. That's it. Clark was limited to 13 games because of injury last season with the Fever, who made it to the WNBA semifinals and fell to the eventual champion Las Vegas Aces. She returned to the court in December, taking part in a camp with USA Basketball's senior women. It's unknown if she will address Labor Matters Sunday, but Flood dropped one tease about what might be coming during Clark's debut appearance. We're hoping to have Caitlin with a basketball in her hand. That's not a tease. That's not a tease. You're not teasing the shoe, right? You're not teasing the shoe. Well, she's gonna shoot some shots for us? Okay, cool. But what's the tease? What's the tease? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Like the video.
So let's address the obvious questions. Why is NBC doing this? And what does it mean for the broader basketball landscape? First, the business reality. Caitlin Clark drives ratings. That's not opinion. That's documented fact. Her Iowa games broke viewership records. Her WNBA debut season brought unprecedented attention to the league. When she plays, people watch. When she speaks, people listen. NBC understands that her presence on their NBA pregame show will drive curiosity and tune in, especially for the debut episode. Second, the marketing synergy. Clark has an endorsement deal with Xfinity, which is owned by Comcast, which owns NBC Universal. This isn't a coincidence. This is corporate strategy. They've already invested in her brand. Now they're leveraging that investment across multiple properties. She appears on their NBA coverage, which promotes their WNBA coverage, which drives subscriptions to Peacock, which benefits Xfinity. It's a closed loop. Third, the cultural statement. By putting Caitlin Clark on the same platform as Carmelo, Vince, and Tracy, NBC is saying women's basketball belongs in the mainstream basketball conversation. Not as a separate category, not as an afterthought, as an integrated part of the sport. That's significant. It normalizes the idea that a WNBA player can analyze NBA basketball just as effectively as former NBA players can. Fourth, the talent development angle. Clark is 22 years old. If she's this comfortable on camera now, imagine what she'll be like in 5 years, in 10 years. NBC might be cultivating their next Doris Burke or their next Stephen A. Smith. They're getting in early on someone who could be a broadcasting star for decades. But here's where it gets complicated. Some people will say this is tokenism, that NBC is only doing this because Clark is popular, not because she's qualified, that she hasn't earned the right to sit alongside Hall of Famers, that this is a publicity stunt that diminishes the credibility of the broadcast. I'd argue that's nonsense. Clark has proven she understands basketball at an elite level through her play. She's been a thoughtful interview subject for years. She has actual television experience. And most importantly, NBC isn't asking her to be the lead analyst. She's a special contributor appearing on 2 shows. They're not replacing Carmelo or Vince or Tracy. They're adding a fresh perspective. Others will say this is just another example of Caitlin Clark getting opportunities that other WNBA players don't get. That Aja Wilson or Breanna Stewart are just as qualified but don't have Clark's media profile, and there's some truth to that. Clark's popularity does open doors, but that's how media has always worked. The most recognizable names get the biggest platforms. That's not unique to her. What matters is what she does with the opportunity. If she shows up on February 1st and provides insightful analysis, asks good questions, and holds her own with 3 Hall of Famers, then she'll have earned the spot. If she's awkward or out of her depth, then the criticism will be justified. Sam Flood teased one detail about her debut appearance. Quote, "We're hoping to have Caitlin with a basketball in her hand," which probably means they'll do some kind of demonstration or breakdown where she's showing specific moves or explaining concepts with a ball. That's smart. It plays to her strengths. Let her show, not just tell. The timing is also interesting. Clark's second appearance is scheduled for March 29th, before the Knicks Thunder game in Oklahoma City. That's late in the NBA season, when playoff races are heating up. If her first appearance goes well, the second one will have even more buzz. And if there's an NBA lockout, which is possible, NBC could lean on her for more appearances. She becomes even more valuable if they need to fill airtime during a work stoppage. Here's the broader implication. This move by NBC signals that the wall between NBA and WNBA media coverage is coming down. For years, they've been treated as completely separate entities, different broadcasts, different analysts, different audience. But if Caitlin Clark can successfully analyze NBA games, it opens the door for other crossover opportunities. Could A'ja Wilson appear on an NBA broadcast? Could Sue Bird become a regular NBA analyst? Could NBA players start appearing more frequently on WNBA broadcasts? The answer to all of those questions is yes. If this works. NBC is testing whether mainstream basketball fans will accept a WNBA player as a credible voice on NBA basketball. If the answer is yes, it changes the entire media landscape. If the answer is no, it might be a long time before another WNBA player gets this kind of opportunity. So here's what I'm watching for. First, the actual content of her analysis. Does she provide insights that Carmelo, Vince, and Tracy don't? Does she bring a different perspective? Second, the fan reaction. Do NBA fans embrace her presence or reject it? Third, the ratings. Does her appearance drive viewership, or is it a non-factor? And fourth, whether NBC brings her back for more appearances beyond the 2 already scheduled. This is a significant moment, not just for Caitlin Clark, but for women's basketball as a whole. If she succeeds, it proves that WNBA players can contribute meaningfully to NBA coverage. It validates the idea that basketball expertise transcends gender. It creates a template for future crossover opportunity. If she struggles, it might reinforce the idea that NBA and WNBA coverage should remain separate. That's the stakes here. One appearance on February 1st could influence how networks approach basketball coverage for years to come. So what do you think? Is NBC making a smart move by putting Caitlin Clark on their NBA pregame show, or is this a publicity stunt that's going to backfire? Can she hold her own analyzing NBA basketball alongside 3 Hall of Famers? And what does this mean for other WNBA players who might want similar opportunity? Let me know in the comments. And if you found this breakdown valuable, hit that like button and subscribe for more WNBA coverage.